going on, guys? This is Bruce Matson, your host of the show, Metro Scout Fantasy Football, the show that looks at all things fantasy football from Dynasty to Devy to DFS to Campus Camping, all that stuff, everything in between. If that's something you're into, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, tell your homies. Today we're going to be talking about Jalen Hurts, a very controversial quarterback going into fantasy draft season for a redraft. It's been controversial for Dynasty, and I'm going to give you the 4-on-1 on both formats and what I think about him. He's very polarizing from a small sample, but going in, looking at last year, he had 3 QB1 weeks in his short little tenure. 4 weeks starting, he was QB 11, 1, 12, and 20. QB1 in week 15 is very awesome. The rushing production during those 3 weeks where he was the QB1 would have led him to 1,269 yards if you prorated that out. So this guy gets you yards on the ground. His rushing yards in those 3 QB1 weeks that were back-to-back-to-back, 106, 63, and 69. So you got a game where you got 10 fantasy points rushing, 6.3 fantasy points rushing, and 6.9, damn near 7 fantasy points rushing in a game. That is a floor that you want in your quarterbacks from a rushing standpoint. Also in those 3 games, he averaged 282.33 passing yards a game, 8.9 air yards per attempt, 336 air yards per game. And the stat that compels me the most is he was 10th in the league in completed air yards with like 429. So he is chucking it downfield, and he is completing the ball downfield. He's getting air yards. I would like to see him get more air yards from an attempt basis, 8.9. I would like to see that hit closer to the 10 range to maximize that output. And we might see that since they added Devonta Smith. Jalen Reagor's going to be healthy. The big risk with Jalen Hurts is this is all on a small sample size. The Eagles are just a wonky team. They were horrific on offense last year with Carson Wentz, and the way the coaching staff was pulling the strings was very frustrating from a fantasy football standpoint, probably from an Eagles fan standpoint. Just seeing Hurts at the end of the season was a breath of fresh air. He was very fun to watch. I like the fact that he gets you that rushing output, and he's a player that his upside is really baked into his cost, because on Underdog Fantasy, right now, he's the 8th quarterback off the board with an 80.3 average draft position. He's being drafted around Tyler Boyd, Devonta Smith, Raheem Mostert, Jerry Jeudy, Dallas Goedert, Curtis Samuel, Melvin Gordon, Damian Harris, Michael Carter, Michael Gallup. The thing about this, though, if he takes a step forward this offseason, really makes the quarterback position for the Eagles his own, you're talking a top 3 quarterback, because he's going to give you that rushing production and the passing. He's going to be a jack of all trades for fantasy. That may not lead to the Eagles making the playoffs. That may not even lead to them winning 9 games, but it could lead you to a fantasy championship. And from looking at this, from where these players are stacking up, a smart move, or maybe a not so smart move, but maybe like an under the radar move, is if you're really going in on Jalen Hurts, and if Jalen Hurts hits, that means Devonta Smith's obviously going to hit. And if your picks are back to back, if say you're back in on that snake and it's 7-8 and they're there, doubling up on it, get that stack. That's if you want to go Devonta Smith, Jalen Hurts. That would be a smart move if you're all in on Jalen Hurts, is to snag up Devonta Smith with him so you can get that stack. Another thing I would suggest with Jalen Hurts is have an exit strategy. For one, I don't like drafting 2 quarterbacks in redraft, so my exit strategy for me personally would be like if he busts, like say he gets yanked in week 5, I'm just playing waivers. I'm streaming quarterback, and that's what's going on. The premium is pretty high. You're talking about early 8th round, late 7th round pick. In redraft, that's a pretty high price point for a quarterback. However, this guy can give you top 5, top 3, top 2 production and be very valuable for your fantasy team. He's young. He gets you the Konami code, that rushing upside, which is going to be consistent because there's not going to be games where he's not running the ball. And it's not like he's 100% run first, because you can tell 10th in the league in completed air yards that he's willing to sling the rock. And the more comfortable he gets, the more he's going to sling the rock. He's got Devonta Smith. We saw what he could do at Alabama. Let's see if he can do that in the NFL. If he brings out Heisman Trophy caliber plays in Philadelphia and that matches with Jalen Hurts, then we got a pair, a tandem that we can use in fantasy. And if you're all in on Devonta Smith during the draft process and you think he's going to be an early breakout, then you need to be jumping on Jalen Hurts, because if Devonta Smith hits, that means Jalen Hurts is definitely hitting. So it's a 1-for-1 scenario here. They are in loop with each other. I will have some leagues where I do those stacks. I'm not going to be overweighted, obviously. There's other stacks I want to do, but I am going to dance with it. I am going to try it out. I am interested in. His Dynasty ADP is very similar. In Dynasty, he has an ADP of QB 10 and 97.67 average draft position. He's not being drafted not too far from Russell Wilson, and he's a couple spots ahead of like Deshaun Watson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Tua Tagovailoa. All those quarterbacks, they got their red flags. They got their potential. Deshaun Watson, I kind of want to throw that off to the side because we know what's going on with that situation. It's hard to peg. He's ahead of Aaron Rodgers, Matthew Stafford. It's not like all those guys are bulletproof, and it's not like all those guys possess the same upside as Hurts. Justin Fields probably does. Trey Lance probably does, but we've seen Hurts' rushing production on the field. It's worth the stab on Hurts if you want, but you can also pay down. I'm a big fan of late round quarterback strategy. I'm not against having like Matt Ryan and a couple Jag quarterbacks. That's just how I play, how I roll. I can pick up quarterback in 1 QB leagues later. So for 2 QB leagues with Jalen Hurts, my strategy with that, whether it's Dynasty or redraft, is I'm going to make sure I have at least 3 quarterbacks, and I'm paying up for those just in case the bottom falls out. I want to make sure I have Jalen Hurts covered. Usually in Superflex or 2 QB, I want to be good at quarterback. I want to have a couple good quarterbacks and a couple mediocre quarterbacks. I want to at least have 3 good ones. I try to make sure I'm well off of that position. So if you're in a draft with me and you see Jalen Hurts come off the board, you better believe I'm coming back with some more quarterbacks. But I like him a lot. I understand there's some risk associated with him, as there is with a lot of young quarterbacks. A lot of quarterbacks who go in their second year. That's just part of the game. It's not like it's not the hardest position in sports or anything. Quarterback is. Predicting him to fail is probably the weak move to do. I want some chips on Jalen Hurts. I want him on some of my rosters. I don't want to miss out. I think the rushing production is very important. I think he can take a leap forward. I want him in Dynasty. I want him in redraft. I want a good mix of him, but I also don't want to be overweight in shares either. So if I'm in 10 leagues, if I get 2-3 shares of him, I'm happy. If I have a little bit more, I'm not sad. If I have 10, I might be a little scared. I do want Jalen Hurts on a lot of my rosters. He's a player that I've liked from the jump. I chase rushing quarterbacks every day and twice on Sunday because I want that rushing production. It makes the quarterback a little more safe. It gives them a floor for their weekly total each week. Makes them a little more reliable. And you're not relying on game script as much because they're going to get you 3, 4, 5 fantasy points a week from rushing, and then whatever they get from the arm is what they're going to get you. Jalen Hurts is a guy you should not be scared of in fantasy. He's a guy you should be going after. Another thing I want to point out is the team only brought in Joe Flacco to be behind him. Joe Flacco has been a Jag for a while. He's washed up. He's got rag arm. It's just not going to happen with Flacco. Flacco's not going to push him. So if Hurts is done, if Hurts doesn't make it this season, it's on Hurts because Joe Flacco is not going to push him. They did not bring anybody to push him. It is Hurts' job to lose, which is very encouraging because we know that Hurts has the talent. We know that Hurts can get it done on the ground. We know he can throw it. We know he can sling it. We just need him to put it together for a bigger sample to make us feel better. Joe Flacco is not a threat. Joe Flacco if they bring him in, they're not going to be able to keep him on the field that long because he's not going to be able to hack it. And Jalen Hurts could be back. I feel very safe with Hurts considering what I'm gambling with. Scared money don't make money. So I'm willing to make that gamble on my investments. I'm drafting Hurts. I think a lot of you guys should think about it too because the upside is real. Honestly, the cost that it takes to draft him and the players that are being drafted around his area, you're talking about like Jerry Jeudy's, Raheem Mostert's, Devonta Smith, Tyler Boyd, those type of guys, Melvin Gordon. You can make up those players the next round, the round after that. What wide receivers deep? You're probably good on wide receiver going into that pick. You're probably good on running back going to the pick. There's no running backs after that pick anyways or at that pick. Taking a gamble can sometimes lead you to winning. Taking a gamble could lead you to fall on your face. But if Hurts does fall off, you can always string quarterback. You'll probably still be able to gather together a QB1 in your league and be fine. I want to thank you for watching the show, sticking with me. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, tell your homies, and I'll catch you next time.